2026-27, America introduced 5 incredible cars that completely captured the attention of the automotive world. Today we are exploring the 2026-27 Chevrolet Impala, Ford Thunderbird, futuristic Ford Model T, ultra-luxury Cadillac El Dorado, and the stunning Chrysler 300C limousine, a new generation of American machines built with breathtaking design, massive horsepower, futuristic technology, and ultra-premium luxury. From aggressive styling and next-generation interiors to powerful performance engineered to dominate the road, these vehicles prove that America is once again ready to build some of the world's most exciting and luxurious automobiles. So stay with us until the end, because today we are counting down America's top 5 future luxury performance cars that are redefining 2026 to 27. Let's start number 1, Chevrolet Impala. Nobody expected Chevrolet to do this. Nobody. And honestly, if you told automotive insiders 2 years ago that the Impala nameplate would return, not as a sedan, not as a crossover, but as something so aggressively reimagined that it would genuinely make people question what an American car is supposed to be, they would have laughed you out of the room. Well, nobody is laughing now. Welcome back to Premium Automotive Reviews, the channel where we go deeper than the spec sheet, because the numbers alone never tell you the whole story. We've covered legends, we've covered disappointments, but today feels different. Today we're talking about the 2026 Chevrolet Impala, and before this is over, I think you're going to understand why the automotive world is genuinely unsettled by this car. Stick with me, because what Chevrolet has hidden in the details of this machine is the part most people are completely missing. Let's start with the obvious, because you can't ignore it, the presence. The 2026 Impala does not introduce itself quietly. It announces itself. That burnt copper metallic finish stretching across a wide sculpted body carries a warmth that shifts and deepens depending on the light, almost like the car has a mood. It is not a color you forget, but the color is just the opening act. Look at the proportions, and you'll understand that Chevrolet's designers went back to the era when American cars were genuinely dramatic. When a roofline was a statement and a fender was art. And they asked a dangerous question. What if we rebuilt that confidence with modern aerodynamics and next-generation engineering? The result is a fastback silhouette, so purposeful, it almost doesn't seem real. The body crouches low and wide, with an authority that full-size sedans spent a generation pretending they didn't want. Carbon fiber accents run along the lower body, framing the car like a piece of sculpture rather than an afterthought. Those vented side intakes aren't decorative. They're part of an active aerodynamic system that manages airflow at speed with a precision that used to cost 6 figures elsewhere. And the wheels, rose gold forged alloys with an intricate multi-spoke architecture, are almost unfair. They don't just fill the arches, they define them. Paired with massive drilled rotors and performance-grade brake calipers visible behind the spokes, this is a car that wants you to know it means business before the engine ever starts. Now, from the rear, the Impala reveals something that borders on mischievous. Those tri-element exhaust tips, finished in titanium blue, centered beneath a carbon diffuser, and flanked by sculpted haunches that recall the tail fins of the original 1958 Impala. Chevrolet is playing a very long game here. The heritage is unmistakable, but it has been filtered through a modern lens with such confidence that the result feels entirely forward-looking. That carbon wing integrated into the trunk is not just functional, it signals intent. This is not a car built for comfortable indifference. It was designed to make you feel something even from across a parking lot. Step inside and the shift is immediate. The exterior aggression softens into something altogether more seductive. Cognac leather, hand-stitched in a diamond pattern, wraps around sport seats that hold you without feeling restrictive. The carbon fiber that appears throughout the cabin is not a veneer. It has structure and depth, and paired with the rose copper trim accents that run from the dash through the door panels, the interior communicates a coherence that premium brands sometimes take decades to achieve. Everything you touch, every surface your hand passes over, feels considered. The driver-focused cockpit centers on a curved digital display that spans the width of the dash without dominating it. Chevrolet's latest AI-integrated interface. Let's call it what it is, a learning system. Adapts to how you drive, what you listen to, how you prefer your cabin temperature across different times of day. Over-the-air updates mean this system evolves with you, and the deeper the Impala learns your preferences, the less you have to interact with it at all. That is the kind of intelligent integration that separates genuine technological progress from features added to fill a brochure. A head-up display projects speed, navigation, and driver assist information directly onto the windshield, keeping your attention exactly where it belongs. And here is where things get genuinely interesting, because the driving assistance suite in this car is not a passive safety blanket. It is an active co-pilot. Adaptive cruise, lane centering, predictive braking, and blind spot monitoring are baseline. But what sits on top of that baseline is a suite of machine learning driver aids that observe road conditions in real time and prepare the car before you've consciously registered the hazard. Highway Assist reaches near autonomous capability in appropriate conditions, and the transition between assisted and manual driving is so smooth you almost miss it happening. This is technology designed around trust rather than spectacle, and that distinction matters enormously. Beneath the body, Chevrolet has engineered a powertrain story that rewards both performance and responsibility. A high-output turbocharged V6 anchors the lineup, delivering a wave of torque that pulls from low revs with an effortlessness that makes merging and passing feel almost casual. An optional plug-in hybrid configuration is positioned for the driver who demands performance but wants the flexibility of electric-only range for daily commuting. Neither option asks you to compromise. The suspension geometry, adaptive, multi-link at all four corners, shifts its behavior depending on the selected drive mode, ranging from a composed long-distance touring character that isolates road imperfections with surprising grace all the way to a firm, connected sports setting where the car communicates every nuance of the road surface through the wheel in your hands. That range of character is genuinely difficult to achieve, and the Impala carries it without contradiction. Now, who is this car really for? Not the buyer who wants transportation. The 2026 Impala is built for the driver who believes that how you arrive matters, that a car should be an extension of how you see yourself, not just a vehicle that moves you from one place to another. It is for the person who was raised on American muscle, but has been waiting for American muscle to grow up. It is for the professional who wants presence at valet without sacrificing intelligence in the cabin. It carries 4 adults with genuine rear seat room, a trunk that handles a week's worth of luggage without apology, and the kind of daily drivability that means you will never wake up resenting the decision you made at the dealership. None of that demands sacrifice. That is the real story here. There is a version of the future that looks exactly like every other version of the future. Anonymous, efficient, sanitized. And then there is the 2026 Chevrolet Impala, which looks like the future that someone actually dreamed about. Chevrolet did not revive a nameplate. They revived a feeling, that specifically American conviction, that a car can be many things at once. Powerful and refined, nostalgic and forward-facing, emotional and intelligent. If you walked away from American sedans years ago because they stopped trying, this is the car that earns a second look. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on the Impala, drop a like. It genuinely helps more people find this kind of coverage. Subscribe to stay ahead of the next reveal, and tell me in the comments, does this car change how you think about American automotive design? Or do you think Chevrolet still has something left to prove? I read every one of your responses, and this conversation is just getting started. Now let's start number 2, Ford Thunderbird. 70 years ago, Ford introduced a car that did not fit into any existing category. It was not a sports car in the European sense, not a muscle car, not a luxury cruiser. It was something entirely its own, and the automotive world had no language for it yet. They called it the Thunderbird, and it sold on feeling alone. Now Ford has done it again. The 2026 Thunderbird has arrived, and it is wearing British racing green, carrying a carbon fiber body over a supercar chassis, and it sounds, even at idle, like something that was built specifically to make you forget about everything else. We need to talk about this car carefully, because it deserves more than a quick overview. This is premium automotive reviews, and if you have been here before, you know that we do not summarize cars, we inhabit them. The 2026 Thunderbird has layers to it that most coverage has barely scratched, and there is one detail about this car's interior philosophy that changes the entire conversation around how modern technology should feel inside a performance car. We will reach it. For now, start from the beginning, because the beginning of this car's story is genuinely unlike anything Ford has told before. The color is the first thing and the right thing to start with. British racing green, deep, glossy, almost jewel-like in direct sunlight, retreating to something darker and more mysterious in shade. This is not a color chosen for mass-market appeal. It is a color chosen with intention. Signaling before a single specification is mentioned that the 2026 Thunderbird belongs to a lineage that stretches beyond Ford's own history into the broader world of great grand touring machines. Against this green, the chrome Thunderbird badge on the grille and the winged emblem on the tail read as heritage details rather than decorative choices. They connect this car to something older and more considered than the typical modern reveal. The body shape is where the 2026 Thunderbird's design courage becomes undeniable. Ford has taken the long hood, short deck proportions of the original 1955 Thunderbird, one of the most instinctively beautiful body shapes in American automotive history, and rebuilt them in the language of a contemporary supercar. The result is a silhouette that reads simultaneously as vintage and futuristic, a combination that sounds impossible until this car demonstrates that it is not. The nose is long and low, rising from a deep carbon fiber front splitter to a sculpted hood with a central ram air intake pressed into its center. The oval grille opening is framed in polished chrome and carries the Thunderbird bird emblem in silver at its center, a motif carried forward from the 1950s with zero modification, because some things do not need updating. The headlights are the most technically surprising element of the front end. Rather than the typical wide LED arrays of modern performance cars, the 2026 Thunderbird uses a cluster of 4 cylindrical projector units on each side, stacked vertically in a housing that references aircraft instrument clusters, creating a light pattern that is entirely distinct from any other car on the road. At night, those 4 tube clusters produce a signature that makes the Thunderbird recognizable from a distance in a way that no modern headlight design currently achieves. The side profile is where the Thunderbird's body sculpture reaches its peak expression. The front wheel arches are dramatically flared, wide, smooth, organic, pulling the body outward over polished white multi-spoke wheels that fill those arches with the dense, intricate spoke pattern of a classic wire wheel reimagined in modern alloy. Those wheels are extraordinary. In a segment where alloys have become increasingly complex and multi-armed, these full-face designs with their tight radiating spoke arrangement create a visual weight and sophistication that stops people in parking lots. The side body carries louvered vents pressed into the rear quarters, 6 horizontal slots that reference the original Thunderbird's side vents and serve a genuine cooling function for the rear powertrain components. The carbon fiber sill extensions run the full length of the car between the wheels, sitting close enough to the ground that the car appears to be crouching even at standstill. The tail of the 2026 Thunderbird is its most emotionally resonant angle. Oval LED taillights sit on each side of a wide, flat carbon fiber tail panel, their shape referencing the porthole windows of the 1957 Thunderbird hardtop in a connection so deliberate and so well executed that it rewards anyone with the historical knowledge to recognize it. The winged Thunderbird emblem sits at the center of the tail in chrome, and below it, a carbon fiber diffuser structures the rear valance in deep fins, with 4 exhaust outlets emerging in twin pairs from each corner. The carbon fiber roof panel completes a car that uses the material not as a performance addendum, but as a considered design element throughout. The interior of the 2026 Thunderbird is where Ford has made the decision that changes everything about how this car feels to use. And it is a decision that runs directly counter to where the automotive industry has been heading for a decade. There are almost no screens in this cabin. The dashboard is finished in figured walnut burl wood veneer covering the entire center stack. Real wood, hand-finished, warm to the touch and visually rich in a way that no digital surface can replicate. Within that wood panel, analog gauge faces display engine temperature, oil pressure, boost, and a green-faced analog clock at center. a clock that functions as both a practical timepiece and the philosophical centerpiece of the entire interior design. The message is unambiguous. This car exists in time, not outside it. A single infotainment display is embedded discreetly within the lower portion of the wood stack, handling navigation, connectivity, and audio, but positioned and sized to participate in the interior rather than dominate it. The gear selector is a carbon fiber knob rising from a green leather gaiter at the center console. The steering wheel carries the Thunderbird bird emblem in the carbon fiber hub. The seats are deeply quilted in two-tone cream and British racing green leather, with diamond stitching that references the original Thunderbird's interior pattern. There is a craftsmanship quality to every surface in this cabin that communicates the same message as the analog clock. This car was made by people who believe that the experience of the object matters as much as its performance. The powertrain is a supercharged V8 producing 650 horsepower sent to the rear wheels through a 7-speed manual gearbox. A manual gearbox in 2026, in a car at this price point, which is itself a statement of intent that deserves its own moment of acknowledgement. The adaptive suspension is calibrated for grand touring rather than track use, delivering a ride quality that prioritizes long-distance composure while maintaining enough body control for genuinely engaging backroad driving. 0 to 60 miles per hour arrives in 3.8 seconds. Not the fastest number in this class, and not intended to be. The Thunderbird is not competing on acceleration figures. It is competing on the total quality of the driving experience, and that is a competition it is extraordinarily well positioned to win. The 2026 Ford Thunderbird starts at $172,000. It is not for everyone, and it was not designed to be. It is for the driver who has tried fast and found it insufficient, who wants something that rewards patience and rewards attention, and rewards the willingness to slow down enough to actually feel what a car is doing beneath you. In a market full of performance machines competing to be the most extreme, the most powerful, and the most technologically overwhelming, the Thunderbird has arrived doing something far more difficult. It has chosen to be the most human. If this car speaks to you, if the walnut dashboard and the analog clock and the manual gearbox mean something to you, leave a like and tell us in the comments whether the 2026 Thunderbird is the most important American car of the decade. Now let's start number 3, Ford Model T. What if Ford took the car that built America, the one that started it all, and turned it into something that felt like it came from 100 years in the future? What if instead of retiring that name to the history books, they resurrected it as the most dramatic, most unexpected, most impossibly beautiful automobile this company has ever created? That question is no longer hypothetical, and once you understand what Ford has actually done here, you will never look at the automotive world the same way again. Welcome back to Premium Automotive Reviews, where we go beyond what a car looks like on a spec sheet and talk about what it actually means, what it feels like to stand in its presence, what it represents for the people who build it and the people who will drive it. And today, we are talking about something that genuinely stopped us cold the moment we encountered it. This is the all-new 2026 and 2027 Ford Model T. Stay with us, because what we are about to unpack in the next few minutes will completely change how you think about this name, this brand, and honestly, the entire concept of heritage in the modern automotive era. Let us start with the exterior, because that is where this car announces itself before you ever hear an engine note, before you open a door, before a single piece of technology reveals itself. The body of this Model T is something close to a philosophical statement. Ford's designers did not simply modernize an old shape. They held history and the future in tension, and rather than letting either win, they forced them into a conversation. The result is a silhouette that reads as unmistakably classic from 20 feet away, with those sweeping fender arches flowing organically from the body, the tall upright greenhouse, the long sculpted hood. But the moment your eye settles, something feels different, something feels aggressive and precise in a way that old cars never were. The front end is where the contradiction becomes electric. That grille, finished in polished gold, carries the Ford script in raised lettering like something off a 1920s automobile, proud and unhurried. But flanking it on both sides are dual-ring LED headlight clusters so technically advanced, so sharp and crystalline in their geometry, that they look borrowed from a car that has not been designed yet. The combination should be chaotic. It is anything but. It feels deliberate, considered, and genuinely brave in a way that most automotive design committees would never sanction. A winged mascot crowns the hood in chrome, echoing the ornaments that once marked the finest motor cars of the pre-war era. Auxiliary spotlights sit mounted on the front corners with polished chrome housings, again historically inspired but rendered with modern precision. The body panels themselves flow in a way that almost defies aerodynamic logic for something this classically shaped. Yet the designers have worked active management into the lower fascia, with an integrated front splitter and shaped air intakes that pull double duty between cooling and downforce. The body stance is wide and planted, riding on massive turbine-style alloy wheels wrapped in performance rubber, each center cap finished in gold, to carry that signature warmth through to every corner of the car. These wheels do not just fill the arches, they command them. Moving around the rear, the Model T shows its modern ambitions with 4 exhaust outlets arranged in a quad configuration behind a sculpted diffuser. The taillights are tight circular clusters, glowing red with the same precision as the headlights, maintaining visual consistency around the entire body. Sitting center stage is a gold Ford badge in the shape of a longhorn, wide and flat and confident, framed by the Ford T plate below it. The whole rear end reads like punctuation at the end of a very long, very important sentence. Now, open the door, and the conversation shifts entirely. Because inside this car, Ford has made a choice that separates the Model T from every other vehicle wearing a legacy nameplate. This interior is not a nod to the past. It is not a museum. It is a fully realized luxury environment built for the present and the coming decade. Every surface you can reach is wrapped in deep cognac-colored leather, stitched with meticulous hand-quilted patterns that require the kind of skilled craftsmanship that simply does not exist in mass-production automotive. The seats carry that same quilted detailing, firm in the bolsters, supportive on long drives, and wrapped with enough visual warmth that the cabin feels less like a car and more like a private room in a building you are delighted to have been invited into. Across the top of the dashboard runs a panoramic dual display system, wide and unbroken, housing a fully digital driver display on the left and the infotainment interface on the right. There is nothing dated about the software. Ford has built a connected intelligence layer into this vehicle that learns driver preferences over time, adjusting ambient conditions, navigation suggestions, and media behavior based on patterns it builds quietly in the background. Over-the-air updates keep the system current, meaning the car you buy on day one will be meaningfully more capable 2 years into ownership without a single dealer visit for software alone. The center console pulls another trick that few interiors manage gracefully. It places a secondary touch display below the main fascia for climate and mode control, surrounded by gold-finished selector knobs and a carbon fiber gear selector topped with a walnut and gold shift knob. The contrast between the dark carbon structural elements and the warm cognac leather is deliberate and extraordinary. It keeps the interior from feeling monochromatic while keeping it from feeling chaotic, a balance that most luxury manufacturers spend years trying to achieve. What is powering all of this? Ford has confirmed a performance-oriented powertrain architecture for the Model T that positions it firmly in grand touring territory. The combustion option delivers authoritative power with a wide torque curve that makes city driving as effortless as open highway cruising. The suspension tuning is weighted toward comfort without losing composure in corners, the kind of setup that does not ask you to choose between a relaxed morning commute and an energetic weekend road. Both are available from the same car, on the same day, just by adjusting your intent. A hybrid-ready platform is part of the engineering foundation, which means Ford has left the door open for an electrified Model T variant that preserves the character and theater of this design while moving toward reduced consumption. That decision alone signals how seriously this car has been thought through beyond the launch cycle. Driving assistance technology aboard the Model T is comprehensive without feeling intrusive. Adaptive Cruise with stop-and-go capability handles motorway fatigue. Lane centering, blind spot monitoring, and cross-traffic alerts operate quietly, surfacing only when they are needed. The forward collision system with automatic braking is calibrated to intervene without the nervous, oversensitive triggering that frustrates drivers in everyday situations. Ford has tuned these systems to feel like a calm, intelligent co-pilot rather than an anxious one, and that difference is felt on every drive. For the person who asks whether this car is practical, the answer is yes, genuinely. The cabin offers meaningful space for driver and front passenger, and rear seating that suits adults rather than accommodating them reluctantly. Storage is thoughtfully distributed across the center console, door pockets, and an organized trunk that handles real-world use without drama. This is a car you could drive across a continent or drive to a business dinner, and it would serve both occasions with the same composed confidence. Who is the 2026 Ford Model T for? It is for someone who finds most modern cars indistinguishable from one another. It is for someone who understands that buying a vehicle is a statement, not just a transaction. It is for someone old enough to appreciate where this name came from, and forward-looking enough to recognize how startling it is to see it reimagined this thoroughly. Most vehicles in this space offer either heritage or technology, history or performance, beauty or intelligence. The Model T refuses to choose, and in refusing, it becomes one of the most genuinely original automotive propositions of this generation. Henry Ford once said that if he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. The 2026 Model T is Ford answering that same question for a new era. Not by giving anyone what they expected, but by delivering something so fully realized, so completely its own thing, that the conversation around expectations becomes irrelevant. This is not a car trying to survive by borrowing nostalgia. This is a car earning its name all over again. If this is the direction Ford is capable of moving in, then the years ahead for this brand are going to be very interesting to watch. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to know where you stand on what Ford has done here, whether you see it as a triumph, a provocation, or both. And if you have not yet subscribed to Premium Automotive Reviews, now is a good time. Every vehicle we cover gets this level of depth, this level of honesty, and this level of genuine passion for what makes cars matter. Hit like if this one earned it. We will see you in the next one. And now let's start number 4, Cadillac El Dorado. 1,200 horsepower. That number alone should stop you cold. But when you learn that Cadillac is attaching it to a resurrected name that once defined American automotive ambition, when you understand that the 2027 Cadillac El Dorado is priced from $385,000 and positioned as a direct challenge to the finest grand touring machines Europe has ever produced, the number stops being a statistic and starts being a declaration. A declaration that America is done watching from the sidelines. And if you think you already know what a Cadillac is capable of, this car is about to respectfully prove you wrong. Welcome to Premium Automotive Reviews, where we have spent years going deeper than the brochure on every vehicle that matters. We do not just tell you what a car has. We tell you what it means, what it demands, what it gives back. And the 2027 Cadillac El Dorado is one of those rare machines that rewards every layer of attention you give it. There is something waiting at the end of this that will completely reframe how you think about American luxury performance, so stay with us. The name El Dorado carries weight that very few automotive badges can claim. It first appeared on a Cadillac in 1953, a show car so audacious that the public demanded production. Over the following decades, it became a symbol of American excess at its most eloquent, a car that said wealth without apology and style without restraint. Then it was retired. For a long time, nothing carried that name. And now Cadillac has brought it back, not as a tribute and not as a nostalgia project, but as something genuinely new and genuinely dangerous in the best possible way. The exterior of this El Dorado operates on a frequency that most modern cars simply cannot reach. The body is finished in a warm champagne gold, a color that hovers between bronze and sand, depending on how the light moves across it. And it moves constantly because the surface itself is alive with sculpture. Long hood, low roofline, wide hips that flare dramatically at the rear fenders, creating a stance that is simultaneously athletic and aristocratic. From the front, the signature Cadillac vertical grille has been reimagined in a supercar context, flanked by precision LED headlights that run in a sharp angular signature down each side of the nose. The daytime running light pattern is the kind of detail that makes people stop walking when this car passes. A blade of white light cutting diagonally across a black housing that communicates intent before the engine even speaks. The body panels flow without interruption from nose to tail, a single unbroken conversation between form and function. There are active air vents carved into the flanks behind the front wheels that manage thermal load from the powertrain while adding visual drama to a side profile that already commands attention from 200 meters away. The roofline drops in a long, elegant fastback arc toward the carbon fiber rear spoiler, a structural element finished in the same golden carbon weave that appears throughout the exterior and acts as a visual thread connecting every performance detail on the car. Golden carbon fiber on the front splitter, golden carbon on the rear diffuser, golden carbon on the spoiler. It is a level of material consistency that most manufacturers charge considerably more to achieve. Those wheels. Rose gold multi-spoke alloys that appear to be machined from a single piece of precious metal centered with an El Dorado badged hub and backed by massive gold-painted brake calipers with the El Dorado name stamped into the face. The tire specification reads 325/30 ZR21 at the rear, which tells you everything you need to know about the kind of forces this car was engineered to manage. The braking system behind those calipers is ceramic composite, a technology that delivers consistent stopping power regardless of heat buildup. And given what the powertrain puts out, the brakes are not a detail, they are a necessity. The rear of the El Dorado closes the design with absolute conviction. Full-width LED taillights glow in a deep sequential red beneath the carbon fiber spoiler. And below them, a carbon diffuser of extraordinary complexity manages the aerodynamic balance at speed. 4 exhaust outlets sit at the corners, perfectly symmetrical. And when this car is running, they produce a sound that Cadillac's acoustic engineers have spent considerable effort shaping. It is not loud for the sake of being loud. It is purposeful, layered, with a depth at idle that sharpens into something genuinely thrilling when the throttle is opened. Step inside, and the temperature of the experience changes entirely. The El Dorado's interior wraps the driver in semi-aniline leather of a rich cognac tone, hand-stitched in a diamond quilt pattern that covers the seats, the door panels, and portions of the dashboard in a single unbroken visual rhythm. Burled walnut veneer runs across the top of the dashboard and down the center console, and it has been precision cut and matched so that the grain flows continuously from one surface to the next. A level of craft that takes significantly longer to produce than most buyers will ever fully appreciate. But they will feel it. That feeling of considered detail, of nothing being accidental, is what separates a true luxury interior from one that merely uses expensive materials. The instrument cluster is a curved display that arcs elegantly behind the steering wheel, presenting speed, power output, navigation, and drive mode information in rich amber-tinted graphics that reference the analog gauges of El Dorado's past while operating entirely in the present. A secondary display integrates into the center stack with a clean, uncluttered interface running Cadillac's latest AI-connected infotainment platform. This system does not simply respond to inputs, it learns. Over weeks and months of ownership, it builds a behavioral profile, anticipating preferred routes, temperature settings, audio preferences, and connectivity patterns without being asked. Over-the-air software updates keep every element of this system current across the full ownership lifecycle, meaning the technology you have in year 3 is meaningfully more capable than what you had at delivery. The rear cabin, while designed around a 2+2 configuration, appropriate for a Gran Turismo of this character, offers genuine comfort for adult rear passengers on longer journeys. Individual headrest screens provide independent entertainment, and a rear comfort console between the seats gives rear occupants independent climate control with their own dedicated display panel. The panoramic glass roof stretches from the front header nearly to the C-pillar, flooding the cabin with natural light and reinforcing the sense of space in a body that wears its performance proportions with confidence. Now let us talk about what is powering all of this. Because 1,200 horsepower demands explanation rather than just announcement. The El Dorado runs a twin turbocharged V8 architecture paired with a high-output electric motor system in a performance hybrid configuration that delivers combined output of 1,200 horsepower to all four wheels. This is not a hybrid in the efficiency sense. This is a hybrid in the sense that both energy sources working together produce something neither could achieve alone: instant electric torque, filling in the space between throttle input and turbocharged response to create acceleration that feels linear, controlled, and relentless from 0 through triple-digit speeds. The transition between power sources is managed by software so precisely calibrated that you never feel a seam. You only feel forward momentum of a quality that very few road cars on the planet can match. The suspension is a fully active magnetic ride system that reads road inputs thousands of times per second and adjusts damping in real time to maintain composure regardless of surface quality. On a smooth boulevard, the El Dorado rides with the floating serenity of a proper grand tourer. Push it toward a corner on a track surface, and it tightens into something precise and communicative, the kind of steering feel that makes you want to stay in that corner a little longer just to understand it better. Cadillac has also integrated torque vectoring into the all-wheel drive system, distributing power between the rear wheels independently to sharpen turn-in and maintain balance through mid-corner adjustments that drivers feel but may not consciously identify as technology working on their behalf. The safety architecture surrounding all of this performance is comprehensive and intelligently calibrated. Cadillac's Super Cruise driver assistance system is present in its most advanced form, capable of hands-free driving on mapped highway routes with eye tracking to verify driver attention. Forward collision warning with automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring across the full length of the vehicle, and rear cross traffic alert operate continuously and unobtrusively. The El Dorado does not use safety technology to create anxiety. It uses it to remove it, so that the driver can focus entirely on the pleasure of operating a machine this accomplished. Who is the 2027 Cadillac El Dorado for? It is for the driver who refuses to accept that choosing an American car means compromising on performance, luxury, or technological sophistication. It is for the collector who understands that the most interesting vehicles are never the expected ones. It is for the person who looked at the European Grand Touring landscape for years, admired it genuinely, and waited patiently for something domestic to arrive that could stand in the same room without apology. At $385,000, the El Dorado is not affordable by any conventional definition. But within the universe of 200 horsepower luxury coupes, it represents a level of content and intention that makes the number feel considered rather than arbitrary. The Cadillac El Dorado name carried a promise when it was first used. A promise about aspiration, about the idea that the best version of something American luxury could achieve was still ahead of where it currently stood. The 2027 edition makes good on that promise with a completeness that the original could only gesture toward. This is what it looks like when a great American brand stops being cautious and starts being extraordinary. And we have a feeling the automotive world is going to be talking about this car for a very long time. If the El Dorado earned your attention today, drop a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Would you spend $385,000 on 1,500 American horsepower? Subscribe to Premium Automotive Reviews, and you will never be the last person to know when something this significant arrives. We will see you in the next one. Nobody builds a limousine like this anymore. Nobody even tries. But Chrysler just walked into the room, set something extraordinary on the table, and the entire luxury segment went quiet. The 2027 Chrysler 300C limousine is not a stretched car. It is not a rental fleet upgrade. It is a statement so loud, so visually violent, so completely unexpected from an American brand that the moment you encounter it in person, every assumption you held about what a limousine can be dissolves completely. And once you understand what Chrysler has packed into every inch of this machine, you will understand why the conversation around luxury in this country just changed direction. This is Premium Automotive Reviews, and if you have been here before, you already know we do not skim surfaces. we go deep. We talk about what a vehicle actually is, what it communicates, what it demands from the road, and returns to the driver and passengers. Stay with us through this one, because what Chrysler has done to the interior of this car alone will make everything else on the market feel like it was designed in a rush. Let us start with the exterior, because nothing about this 300C limousine gives you permission to look away. The finish is the first thing that reaches you. Chrysler has applied a deep copper metal flake paint that does not sit still under light. It moves. It shifts between burnt sienna and rich amber depending on the angle, the time of day, the intensity of whatever source is hitting it. This is not a color you choose from a swatch. This is a color that chooses you, and it coats an extended body that stretches with surprising elegance for something this commanding in scale. The roofline flows without interruption from the front pillars all the way to the tail, maintaining a coupe-like tension across a length that most manufacturers would struggle to keep visually coherent. The front end carries the 3-It's identity with confidence. The wide mesh grille wears the Chrysler wing badge at its center, flanked by amber-tinted LED headlights that glow with an intensity that borders on theatrical. Those headlights are not merely functional. The amber signature running lights create a distinctive daytime face that is immediately recognizable at a distance, the kind of visual shorthand that luxury brands spend decades developing, and Chrysler has achieved here in a single generation. Beneath the grille, a full carbon fiber front splitter wraps the lower fascia, pulling the nose toward the ground and communicating performance intentions that a traditional limousine would never dare suggest. The body sides are clean and long, with deep sculpted skirts running the entire length of the extension, keeping the profile planted and aerodynamically intentional rather than simply stretched and forgotten. Those skirts lead your eye inevitably to the wheels, and the wheels on this car deserve their own moment of attention. Multi-spoke alloys with bronze-tinted lips sit inside widened arches, wrapped in low-profile performance rubber that sits the entire body remarkably close to the ground. Red brake calipers flash through the spokes, a reminder that despite the diplomatic proportions of this limousine, someone inside the engineering team had something to prove about stopping power. The rear of the 300C limousine closes the design argument convincingly. A carbon fiber rear diffuser dominates the lower valance, housing quad exhaust outlets that emerge from each corner with the kind of symmetrical authority that makes you wonder whether this car was designed by a stylist or a composer. LED taillights in a stacked vertical configuration glow with precision, and above them a carbon fiber rear spoiler sits tight to the deck lid, completing an exterior that somehow manages to be both formal and aggressive. A balance that almost no vehicle in this class has ever achieved. Step inside the driver's cockpit, and the conversation changes register entirely. The front cabin wraps the driver in cognac leather that carries the warmth of the exterior finish into the interior environment without feeling derivative. A carbon fiber steering wheel with a leather-wrapped rim and embedded Chrysler badging gives the driver a physical connection to the car that feels purposeful rather than decorative. Two large touchscreen displays occupy the center stack, stacked vertically, the upper running full navigation with vivid color mapping and the lower handling vehicle systems, climate zones, and drive mode selection. The digital instrument cluster behind the wheel presents speed, power delivery, and driver assistance status in a clean, legible layout that requires no learning curve. Carbon fiber surfaces frame every major touchpoint across the center console and door cards, keeping the driver's environment feeling performance-oriented even while carrying passengers in exceptional comfort behind. And those passengers. That rear cabin is where Chrysler has invested most deeply, and it shows in a way that makes the price of admission feel rational. Rows of individually contoured seats run along both sides of the extended cabin, each one upholstered in the same rich cognac leather, with amber contrast stitching that catches the ambient light from above. That overhead lighting system is one of the most thoughtfully designed elements in this entire vehicle. Recessed LED panels run the full length of the ceiling, casting a warm amber glow across the cabin that is tuned specifically to make every passenger inside feel like the evening already belongs to them. It is not accent lighting. It is atmosphere, deliberately engineered and precisely calibrated. Between the facing seat rows runs a center console that functions as a mobile lounge. Crystal glassware sits in dedicated holders. A touchscreen embedded into the console surface gives rear passengers control over entertainment, climate, and partition transparency without requiring any communication with the front of the car. The flooring beneath all of this is finished in a terrazzo-style material that would not look out of place in an architectural showroom. There is nothing in this rear cabin that feels like an afterthought. Not a seam, not a surface. Not a single detail of the lighting or the material selection. The technology running through the 300C limousine is as serious as the design. The infotainment architecture operates on an AI learning platform that builds preference profiles for both driver and passenger zones independently. Over-the-air updates keep every system current across the ownership cycle. Wireless connectivity, multi-device integration, and a premium audio system tuned for the acoustic properties of the extended cabin create a rear passenger experience that most private aviation lounges would consider competitive. Adaptive cruise control, lane centering, blind spot detection, and forward collision prevention operate through a suite of sensors distributed across the full length of the body, calibrated to account for the unique dynamics of an extended wheelbase vehicle at speed. And speaking of speed, the powertrain underneath this limousine does not apologize for the size of what it is moving. A performance-oriented engine architecture delivers broad, immediate torque that pulls the full length of this car with authority. The suspension tuning has been re-engineered for the extended platform, with adaptive dampers that read road surface conditions and adjust in real time, maintaining ride composure across rough surfaces while tightening up when the driver asks for something more deliberate. A hybrid-ready platform sits beneath the architecture, signaling clearly where Chrysler intends to take this model in the model years ahead. Who is the 2027 Chrysler 300C limousine for? It is for the person who refuses to arrive quietly. It is for the executive who understands that the vehicle waiting outside communicates something before any meeting begins. It is for anyone who has ever sat in a luxury limousine and felt vaguely disappointed, wondering why something so expensive felt so generic. This car is the answer to that disappointment. It is proof that American luxury, when it decides to take itself seriously, can produce something that makes the entire segment reconsider its assumptions. Chrysler built something genuinely rare here. Not rare in the sense of limited production numbers, though this car will certainly not be parked on every street corner. Rare in the sense that it carries a point of view. It has opinions about what luxury should feel like, how it should arrive, how it should move through the world. And those opinions are expressed in copper metal flake paint, in carbon fiber, in amber leather, and crystal glassware, and a rear cabin that feels like it was designed by people who actually love the idea of being driven somewhere extraordinary. If this video gave you something, drop a like and let us know in the comments whether Chrysler has earned your attention with this one. Subscribe to Premium Automotive Reviews and you will never miss a moment when the automotive world decides to do something worth watching. We will see you in the next one.